food desert to be open. We'll discuss, what residents of the East Buffalo community is doing since that shooting in Buffalo, how they are still moving forward, and at the same time getting this food and the supplies that they need. We'll have that conversation later on. Dave Chappelle attacker has appeared in court, and guess what, folks? Apparently, he has committed another serious crime. We'll break it down to you as well. And then later, a bird watcher has gotten his own National Geographic bird watching show. Talking about poetic justice, wait till you hear the story behind this gentleman. And of course, we have just something to say for the last word and trends and posts and doing the most. So we got a lot of things happening. So stay tuned. We got a lot to get to on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the show. Welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We got a lot to jump into. We're going to be joined by one of our culture crew members, Chinedu Wakwafor, who is a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist. But we got a lot to discuss, and I'm very, very excited about having these conversations. The first conversation is the one about Attorney Ben Crump. You know, the civil rights attorney. The attorney, some people would call him America's Johnny, next generation Johnny Cochran. Mr. Crump is making no qualms about the fact that he plans to make anyone that's affiliated, associated, or has been involved in the Buffalo mass shooting accountable. He's going specifically after the gun makers. He's planning to sue the gun manufacturer of the firearm that was used in the shooting. And according to a latest interview that Mr. Crump did, he said that at a national press conference that we stood alongside Reverend Al Sharpton and the families of the victims from the Buffalo mass shooting, he said these words. Check this out, folks. I'm going to post this quote here. Ariel, let's post that first quote of Ben Crump. He said, "We absolutely intend on going after the gun manufacturers, the gun distributors, and anyone else who was an accomplice to this young 18-year-old white supremacist." Now he's waging war. Mr. Crump has always gone after the police departments, especially in police brutality cases. He's gone after, smaller agency. But when you're talking about waging war with the gun manufacturers and gun distributors, now you're cooking with grease, folks. Let me tell you that. All right, let me bring in culture crew member Chinedu Wakwafor, who is a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist, to get his take on what Mr. Crump is planning to do. Chinedu, always good to see you on Fridays, brother. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Good to see you as well.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. Our guy, Mr. Ben Crump, civil rights attorney. Never forget, Mr. Ben Crump said, "I go after the money. I want to break the bank. They take our lives, we take their money." That's his. And I'm not making it up, folks. That's his approach. That's his approach. But he's going after now the gun companies. He's going after the gun manufacturers. He's going after the gun distributors. Do you think he has a case?
He does. And I think he will have a case because these things are starting to happen with these domestic terrorists, these white supremacists. They're starting to happen so often, and it's hard to hold people accountable. So it's going down the barrel, no pun intended, and going after these gun companies, because I think from a legal standpoint, when he's able to shake up the world of gun manufacturers, then maybe, just maybe, then the government will give a damn about these loose cannon white nationalists who are wreaking havoc on our American cities.
I think that now we have to look at where we stand with this gun situation, because the gun lobby is one of the most powerful lobbies in the country, Sinead. The gun lobby is the place where they put they fatten the pockets of a lot of political officials. And so, yeah, it's one thing to go after police departments, right? It's one thing to go after individual police officers. But when you start talking about going after the gun lobby, when you start talking about going after big guns, the firearm industry, it's a different level of engagement in that warfare, especially now that even though we have this unfortunate situation in Buffalo, that there are still a great number of people who believe that, you know, the having the firearm, using the firearm is just as important as breathing air. You know what I mean? It's just as important as the First Amendment right of freedom of speech. So how do you think that he should move, considering this much bigger, much more powerful landscape that he's on?
I think it's really important to understand that the reason why this seems like a Herculean task is because it hasn't been done yet. But just like everything else in the history of this country, once somebody gets close to getting it done, it's almost an instantaneous move. I think when Attorney Crump presents because it's not the idea of taking guns away. And I think anybody who's leading with take guns away, you're going to lose, because guns in America are just synonymous with one another. But these high caliber guns that have a huge magazine level and this and that is where he's going to find his win. Because it's one thing to say, you know, having a pistol in the house for protection, but these guns that are used almost 90% of the time in these mass shootings are high caliber, high magazine carrying firearms. And I think he'll make a very good point in saying that there is no need for those type of guns to be sold. These guns that have all type of attachments that are used for combat, actual combat. And I think when he breaks down the idea of what these guns are made for and what they're now being used for, I think that'll help him in his plight.
Well, here's what the Root had posted about this, because when Ben Crump talked about his plans to sue the gun manufacturers, he was talking in a interview that he did for National Review. Ariel, let's post this second quote, please, where he says, per the National Review's report, gun manufacturers have avoided liability under federal law when their guns are used to commit a crime. Wow. That's not stopping Crump from seeking a lawsuit against the makers of the gun the shooter Peyton Gendron used. Also, the families of the victims from the Sandy Hook shooting won a settlement of $73 million after suing the company of the AR-15 used in the incident. According to the Root, they said that we could see the same thing happen here. $73 million for Sandy Hook victims. They went after AR-50, the AR-15 manufacturer. I'm thinking that now that there is some precedent, that it could open up the door. But I'm wondering, because I think that unlike Sandy Hook, this is a race issue that involves Black victims and not white victims. And both tragedies, both were unfortunate circumstances. But I don't know if the gun manufacturers are going to see, and even America, I don't think that the political leadership and all of that are going to see this as being a priority, as they saw with Sandy Hook, because of the nature of the crime of children, white community, all of those things. What's your take on that?
Well, you used the term earlier, you used the comparison about Johnny Cochran. A lot of people didn't see the things that he was fighting for getting far until he came there and created a chasm that switched up history. Even though people are not going to take this quote unquote seriously because it's Black victims compared to white victims, I think the place where Ben Crump is going to find some solace is the FBI director, if I'm not mistaken, is it FBI or CIA, said the greatest threat to national security in this country,
FBI director Christopher Wray,
thank you, is homegrown domestic terrorists. And right. I think this is my opinion. with the same vigor that white people pushed critical race theory and this replacement theory, I think there should be a concerted effort between Ben Crump and his team to get all of the Democratic-led folk, all the people to continue to push that term, that statement that FBI director made, because we have to keep saying it until it actually settles down into people. Because, when dealing with a very, very powerful government and a powerful lobby, you got to wear them down. And I, as a communications practitioner, I think the best way to do it is exactly what they're doing on the opposite side with CRT and what they did with Black Lives Matter, et cetera, et cetera. It's time that we use those words that FBI director said and continue to push every point with that being the moniker.
It's going to be very, very interesting. I'm pulling up some numbers right here, Sinead, about, and I want to make sure we have it good in terms of how powerful the gun lobby is, because this is going to determine how fast political leadership is going to move. This is also going to determine what kind of support we may need from Ben Crump. Now, look, if Ben Crump goes after the gun manufacturers in this case, can something be said about the guns, quote unquote, the ghost guns, and the real guns, the active guns that are used in urban centers around the world urban centers around the country when it comes to the killing of Black people by other Black people? I mean, I don't know if that is going to be open. That door is going to be open and say, okay, if you can see the gun manufacturer, and check this out, he's an attorney. So this will possibly open Pandora's box, where if somebody is killed by somebody else, particularly in the Black community, by a gun, any lawyer would be able to take action against these gun companies, which is why it's interesting that the gun companies have the type of protection that they do have, where they're not held liable in violent crimes. So I'm wondering, Sinead, like, man, if this happens, and if he's successful, this may open that door. It's a big one, right, bro?
Look, it's going to do some shaking up, but where he has, and I hate to say it, but I'm gonna keep it real, where he has some leeway is that this is also affecting white people too, because it's not only Black people that are getting massively shot. And to be honest, if you think about it, I don't think he should stop even with the guns. I think this should be a multi-pronged approach. I've been saying that since the beginning. Are we not talking about the platform where this young man created that manifesto, that Twitch? If you don't know anything about gaming, a lot of these young gamers or people who use these gaming platforms are using them to not only spew very anti-Semitic, anti-Black, just visceral hate speech, but a lot of them have been using it as a place to build up this white nationalist sentiment. So he needs to sue Twitch and many of these other gaming platforms that are also a concern of national security. When I think about the HBCUs in the last couple of months who had those ransomware attacks, we have to be very, very careful, because in my opinion, what happened in Buffalo is absolutely tragic. But what I believe, if that young man was able to do that and have that manifesto, and he's done something before and it went over the radar of the police, then there is more of him coming. And more of them are going to be coming with more concerted efforts to cleanse, if you will, this nation. And we have to be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's take some comments from folks. And folks, you can post your comments as we continue to have this discussion with our culture crew member, Brother Sinead here. I want to go to, let me see. Let's go to Taylor. Taylor kicked this off today. Now we will probably hear from the NRA. Yeah, we probably will, Sinead. You know what I mean? They're kind of quiet about it. One of our other watchers said, I wonder what the ARA's statement will be, in response to this situation. So we probably will. They may or may not. The NRA is protected. Let me tell y'all something, folks. Y'all know it, and we know it. The
Heavily.
NRA is well protected by conservatives and liberals because they put money in both sides, in the pockets of both sides. So it is going to probably be interesting if we hear from the NRA. Taylor, thank you so much for that. Mike V checked in and said, look, NRA is on the run from Letitia James in New York. Yeah, they got some problems up there in NY right now. They got some real problems right there. Mike V, always good to talk to you. All right, Christopher, thank you so much. Christopher, Farajii, keep doing real black media work. Farajii Muhammad and the Culture Crew. Thank you so much, Christopher. We appreciate that. And thank you always for showing your support. Let's go to Tynese Johnson. Tynese said, you do not need those guns as a regular civilian. How about that? I mean, I don't understand it. Like, what are you what are you shooting? Like the abominable snowman or Bigfoot? I mean, what are you Jaws? You got this thing like, I mean, it's like military equipment.
When you wrongfully, in my opinion, when you wrongfully take a nation, as well as take people from another nation and enslave them on a nation, I believe that a lot of white people, if not all of them, have a consistent guilt of fear that colored folk or minorities will do to them what they have done to us, and that has never been the case.
Hey, look, let me tell you, Brother Sinead, we played a clip of our brother Malcolm X yesterday when he talked exactly about that. You know, talked exactly about this fear and this guilt that one day black people will rise up and do unto them as they have done to us. I'm just telling you, folks, that's not the vibe. That's not the vibe we on right now in 2022. That's not our mood right now. So Tynese, yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I don't know what regular citizen would need these high-powered rifles. Thank you for your comment. Lana, checking in as always. If something happened to me, don't settle until the company got my name on it. I hear that. But we got to get to the source. And I think that's the point. We do have to get to the source. We oftentimes, Sinead, do, in situations like this, we want to kind of go back and forth. That's why I don't even personally, yes, I understand that gun access is a problem, but it's almost like a moot point. Like people wouldn't have to feel like they have to grab a gun to deal with a problem if their minds and their heads are in the right space.
There you go. The gun.
You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't have to blow somebody away if you were thinking sanely, or if you really cared about humanity. You wouldn't have to do it. I mean, all because you don't like somebody. You don't know how to resolve a difference, all because of some political view that you have. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Let's go. Yes, sir. Go ahead, bro.
No, go read the next one.
All right, forensic accountant. Forensic is always checking in. If the police in Conklin, New York, had done their job, ... Come on.
That's a whole other story.
Man drives all the way down there, all the way to Buffalo to kill black people when they had a number of situations where they showed whether he was in school, outside of school, where there was just a number of signs.
See, but you know,
it was just, go ahead, and just real quick, Sinead, when he posted his manifesto 30 minutes before the attack, we talked about this yesterday, but it was further revealed that out of the 22 followers that he had on that platform Discord, 15 people actually checked out or were watching or viewed his post. 15. And guess what? No one alerted law enforcement. No one said a word. No one said a thing. It was just like, this guy's just talking. He lays out all these plans, blueprint of Topps Market, his intention, his philosophy. Nobody said, well, this guy's getting a little bit too deep. I think something needs to be said. 15 people. And that goes to show you where we are right now, not just in terms of social media. I'm just saying in terms of our thinking, that nobody said anything. Like, that was cool. Go ahead, Sinead.
My question has always going to be remain, this is the greatest country in the world, the greatest country in history. What's going on with all of our intelligence agencies that get word on these things, that are supposed to have intel on things like this? It reminds me of how on January 6th, that incident that took place, you know what happened at the White House, the insurrection, where it's like there was intelligence, but then there wasn't intelligence in the folks who were supposed to be moving with the information. And that's, you spoke of Sandy Hook, Farajii. Did you realize that Sandy Hook was 2 presidents ago? Just to put in context the time that has gone through and how many mass shootings take place in America. There's been over 200 and something this year alone. That is not normal. That is not sane. That is not okay. And I don't like to combine unlike terms, but I just find it interesting that there seems to be so much intelligence when you want to arrest Black people for something they did or didn't do. All the coordination seems to always come to place. We see that currently right now in Fulton County with these RICO charges. Somehow the conspiracy comes together and everything lines up. But these mass shooters, these white nationalists, these actual radicals, they seem to be able to propagate their plans, then get caught or then get killed. How does that work in an society with great intelligence? I wonder.
Hey, look, we were talking about that very point yesterday, Sinead, and one of our watchers asked that question, like, why hasn't the government, the FBI, gone after some of these white supremacist organizations? You're doing surveillance. You know who the players are in that space, but there hasn't been no real major crackdown. I mean, we hear about Oath Keepers and Proud Boys from January the 6th. Mm-hmm. I don't even think a lot of people knew about who the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys were. You know what I mean? Unless you keep up with Trump. But January 6th put them out there more. But you can't tell me that if, like you mentioned earlier, when the FBI director said there are 2,000 active cases, you can't tell me that Oath Keepers and Proud Boys are the only white supremacist groups or the only groups out there, the militias, the white militias groups, are the only 2 ones out there. You can't tell me that. That's why my thinking is the president has to talk to these governors, especially in the Midwest and in these certain areas, because I feel like there's a concentrated area, and I might be wrong, but the point is that the president should talk to these governors and start saying to them, you better crack down on this. Like, there's nothing substantial. There's nothing that's being done right now to relieve the burden of what racism and white supremacy has done to not just East Buffalo, but all across this country. Mm-hmm. Nothing substantial. We have hate crime bills. We have all of these other things. But, I mean, in this moment, money should be pouring into East Buffalo. The residents should be getting mental health treatments, right? There should be so much that should be done right now. This is one of the worst mass racially motivated mass shootings in this country's history, in recent history, right? One of the most. And it's like, all we get, and I said it yesterday, and I'm gonna keep saying, all we get is some damn thoughts and prayers.
Because that does something.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Well, look.
A man come into your neighborhood, shoot up 13 people, kill 10, and we just get thoughts and prayers. And y'all gonna realize, check this out real quick. When we have, we're gonna take a quick pause, but when we come back, I'm gonna tell you why this is insane, because the next segment, we're gonna talk about the impact of Topps Market being closed down because it's under investigation and what the community is trying to do. They trying to create a makeshift support system for those residents who had to rely on Topps Market for food and medicine. The community is trying to fill in the gap, which I love, but they shouldn't have to. Why should they? But guess what? This is one of those terrible mass shootings. It speaks to all of the things that President Biden said. Oh, man, this is a stain on the soul of America. That's what he said. But guess what? The stain ain't so deep and ingrained in American culture that you're going to do something significant about it. But we still sending $40 billion to Ukraine right now. Come on, man. The math ain't mathing. Make it make sense.
It makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not right. It's at the end of the day, it's not right. Let me get one more in, and then let's get one more comment in. Belinda, check this. Belinda said we had more intelligence agencies concerned with the East Coast, West Coast rat beef.
Well, where's the lie?
And guess what, though? They still don't know who shot and killed Biggie.
There you go.
All right, we got to take a quick pause, folks. Thank you so much for your comments. Oh, let me just share this very quickly. There's one of the sites that I always go to called OpenSecrets.org, and Open Secrets allows you to understand like how much money that is poured into government for various causes. And do you know that the lobbying for the gun lobbying, it went at its record high last year, where it was nearly $16 million, $15.7 million alone was used to lobby guns in 2021. This year in 2022, as of right now, it's at around about $2.1 million has been used. But there has been a record amount of money that's been put into the gun lobby ever since from 2013. You saw this spike, right? And that was when President Obama was in office. It went down a little bit and then started to kind of going back up. But last year was a record number. So the lobby, the whole money behind the gun industry, the money is coming in. People, the gun industry is making sure that they're getting what they need out of these situations. They're making their presence known to, especially to these political lawmakers. And so we got to make our presence known. So I just wanted to put that out there. You can check it out, opensecrets.org, as a resource as well. We got to take a quick pause. When we come back, I'm going to talk to you more about what's happening with Tops Market and the fact that this market, by it being closed under investigation, it leaves open a food desert in East Buffalo and what residents are doing to fill in the gap. So we'll have that conversation with Sinead and you. So stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood-Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am Roland with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network
is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Like, wow, Roland was amazing on there.
Hey, Black, I love y'all. I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
Folks, we are continuing our conversation and coverage about what has happened in Buffalo with the mass shooting in the aftermath of that horrific event. Now we wanted to turn our attentions to Tops Supermarket. This is the market where the tragedy all took place. And based upon what has happened, Tops Supermarket has been closed for the unforeseeable future. And I'm going to share with you what Tops Market has said in a recent statement about their East Buffalo location. Check this out, Ariel. If we could put that on the screen, please. Tops Market put it out there saying that Wednesday, its store remains under an active police investigation. Once that's done, they will have a team assess next steps with the intention of rebuilding and repairing the store for the community in as short a period of time as possible. That was what the statements from Tops. However, even with that, it leaves an open space, a food desert to exist in East Buffalo, because a lot of residents who don't have cars or don't have access or don't have the ability to travel far, Tops Market was the place to go where they can walk to, they can get to quickly to access everything from food to medicine and other things that they need. Well, what has happened, and I'm happy that has happened, is that locals are stepping in to fill in the gap. There are a number of community organizations that are doing the work of making sure that Tops Market or that really the needs of the community is still being met. And I want to share with you just some of the work that those organizations are doing. Ariel, let's put on that second screen, that second quote up, please, where organizations from outside the community, including World Central Kitchen, have come down to hand out food, personal hygiene products, cleaning supplies, and other things. But a huge level of support is coming from local organizations and churches that are meeting the challenge of feeding their neighbors. This is at the same time they are processing their own grief. Many who spoke to NPR noted that once these outside organizations leave, it's the local groups that will continue to meet the need. Oh, my goodness. Also, folks, just know that there in East Buffalo, a makeshift food bank was set up not far from the supermarket. The Buffalo Community Fridge, which is another organization underground, has received enough monetary donations that it will distribute more funds to other local organizations. And Tops, the supermarket, has also arranged for a bus to shuttle East Side residents to and from another of its Buffalo locations. I want to bring back my brother Sinead, Culture Crew member. All of these things are happening, right? Creating a makeshift infrastructure as Tops Supermarket is closed down due to these investigations. But the one thing, I'm happy that the locals are stepping up. Hell, I'm happy that Tops Market is saying, look, we'll provide a free shuttle. What I'm not happy with is the fact that all these organizations got to rob Peter to pay Paul, got to work from shoestring budgets. Money needs to be pouring into this community, either from the state of New York or from the federal government. I mean, they shouldn't have to be putting all that together. And I know I might be asking for something unrealistic, Sinead, but I don't think I am. But tell me, do you think I am?
You're not. Unfortunately, fortunately, this heinous act, and I think this is why our government probably doesn't like to respond to certain things, this heinous act is now underscoring a bigger problem that had nothing to do with this shooter. That community and that community being a food desert, like when I read about this, I automatically felt like you're talking about any Black or any immigrant city in this country. You're talking about Baltimore. I felt that because I experienced that living in Baltimore. And it's amazing that human beings, community members.
Did we lose Sinead? Let's see if we can get our brother back into it. Might be a problem with his connection, but it's all good. But to add to this point, as you know, once we get him back, the fact is, folks, we're not seeing that level of support coming from the federal side. Again, thoughts and prayers, but this is not the level of support. Let me just share with you what y'all are saying, and y'all share with me if I'm going crazy. What do you think the East Side community of Buffalo should do? East Buffalo should do in a situation like this? Again, I thank the local organizations. You know, I appreciate that. I appreciate Tops trying to do his little part to move people around to get to his locations. But money should be coming in. Let's post Mike V's, because I think Mike V's comment is something that we should all kind of be pushing for, Ariel. So let's post Mike V's comment, and he said it best. Mike said, "This is exactly what FEMA was created for." Or maybe, and Mike, maybe we're wrong on thinking that FEMA, because I know FEMA deals with natural disasters, but isn't this a disaster? A disaster? Isn't this a massacre? If FEMA comes in, the Red Cross should come in, right? Provide some sort of mental health resources. I mean, now remember, I just posted this quote, this report from NPR. People now got to listen. Just check out the burden that people are feeling in East Buffalo at this moment, where they got to figure out, where grandma and them got to figure out how to get the food. Single families, you know, families with two parents. I got all these people trying to figure out, okay, I got to get food. You go to a food bank. If you ever been to a food bank, ain't never enough food for everybody because the bank is built upon donations, right? I used to work with the food bank. It's not the top quality products. No. They aren't the most healthy, you know. I mean, because they're getting donations, so they're getting a lot of products food that people generally don't want. So imagine that. So you trying to scrape and scrounge, and you trying to bring things together for your family. And then you also got to deal with the fact that you're still in grief, because you might have known the 10 people that were killed. You might have seen them around the neighborhood. You might have talked to them inside the market. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is a natural disaster. This is a massacre. This is a traumatic experience for the people of East Buffalo. So you imagine like carrying all of that. Again, we thank those communities, but imagine carrying all of that. All right, let's go back to, we got my brother Sinead. Hopefully we can get him back into this conversation, but let's keep on. Okay, where we go.
Yeah, I'm back. All
right, brother. So yeah, I was just saying though, Sinead, like imagine you carrying this multi-layered pain from trying to feed you and your family to dealing with the grief of this tragedy. I mean, and then the government, again, we will certainly check. We haven't heard anything from the national government around this issue.
Well, I'll say two things.
And I mean, like from a diversity, equity, and inclusion viewpoint perspective, what does the government need to do to show that, hey, to the residents of East Buffalo, we see you?
Well,
what needs to be done from your vantage point, bro?
From my vantage point, I look at it like this, Farajii. It's very simple. we were able to send $40 billion to Ukraine on top of the money we were able to send before. We'll see what our government does for Buffalo and when they get back to them. And that shows the people that one group is more expendable than the other. One sorrow is more important than the other. We've seen the stats that say, a white woman's tear is more powerful than a black woman's tear. We understand that a white woman's pain is more powerful than a black woman's pain, even in the medical system. It's a conundrum, Farajii. And I also think that whoever brought up FEMA is damn right. And we shouldn't let off of that. There's this show, I think it's produced by Barack Obama's production company. It's called The G Word. It just premiered, I think, yesterday, if not last week. It's on Netflix. And it talks just about what you're talking about. During natural disasters as well as emergencies, how FEMA works and how it's so tied up in bureaucracies that it doesn't work, because they should be responding.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go back to getting more comments from our watchers here. Folks, keep your comments going as we talk about the fact that Tops Market is leaving by the fact that it's closed. It leaves open food desert. It leaves open many people to figure out where they can go to get their food and their medicine and other necessary necessities. Let's go to the infamous Kiki. Infamous Kiki said something. She said, I used to work in the grocery industry, and stores in the hood are deemed high risk. You know what, Kiki? I actually heard that before, especially when you're talking about in the Black community. And that has to change. That's a whole different conversation. And I don't doubt that. But for a moment like this, something has to give. Something has to give. Because here's my concern on this point. My concern is that because a lot of these organizations, they're already dealing with shoestring budgets. They're already trying to deal with Sinead, trying to supply the need. This situation could, use all of their resources, could use all of their supplies. You know what I mean? Because they're there, day in, day out. For the past couple of days, they've been there. But they got to leave. They're going to have to re-up on whatever supplies that they had. So what happens then? When they leave and the hot dogs start coming, and I mean these things like people, when we think about food, canned food is fine. You got those perishable items. So you got fruits and vegetables. They are all good. But meat, hot dogs, and all of those things, like you can't eat certain things. You just gonna have to eat right then and there. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm talking about quantity. When it comes down to the quantity of trying to feed a family of 3, of 4, of 5, of 6, you got 4 or 5 children in some households. I mean, it's a lot. It weighs a lot on these organizations. So but they're gonna have to, leave. The supplies are gonna run out. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, why we're not seeing more from the government from this. And even more so than that, I see a lot of people. I think it was Christopher. Christopher posted something about. Let me see. Let's go to Christopher. He said, "Where's the NAACP and the CBC and the Urban League? They're all useless." Christopher, I hear you. I hear your pain, brother. Mm-hmm. They don't have the resources to feed a community. I'm gonna see, and Sinead, just jump in when you want to, brother. But when you think about this, when you think about the logistics of trying to feed a whole neighborhood, you're mm-hmm. talking literally about thousands of people, mm-hmm. thousands mm-hmm. in a single neighborhood, mm-hmm. thousands.
They're not. This is a very frustrating thing. These organizations are not useless. These corporations or whomever trying to come together, these groups coming together, they're not useless. The thing is that you have private citizens trying to do what the government was built to do. The government has the infrastructure to handle this, not these organizations, not these companies. And And that's the issue. I think a lot of people are taking their anger and their focus onto, what is this person doing? What is this? No, what is the government that you pay your taxes for? What exactly are they doing? Is there plans for stuff like this? And I hate to say it, but we have to say it. Other than this white boy shooting up this place, why was this place a food desert to begin with? Can we have that discussion? Because it's far too
yeah, we could definitely have the discussion. I don't know if it's going to change the outcome of what we're facing right now, but in a sense, like that's a much bigger conversation.
It won't,
I think it's worthy of a discussion, though.
It's a worthy discussion. It's worthy to put into our toolkit because it makes me think about, for example, when the COVID thing started, right? A lot of people died because we were short on ventilators. We didn't have a plan. That was the issue. That's how I'm feeling now. What was ever the plan? Let's say this never happened in Buffalo. What was ever the plan for Buffalo, New York, to get out of being a food desert?
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, if this one little white boy who is still living could do this, many of the fanatics who follow him are going to just easily look for other Black cities that are also food deserts and do the same thing. The exact same thing. This won't disrupt. The mass killings are bad altogether, but this won't disrupt a Whole Foods because a Whole Foods has the infrastructure to survive this. But in these communities that do not have that money, that infrastructure, what happens to the most vulnerable people in America? The ones that everybody begs to go and vote when it's time to quote unquote make a change. What happens to these people? And why are we still depending on just community organizations, which I appreciate, and that's amazing, but damn it, there's a government and we pay them taxes.
Come on, brother. Something
not making sense. And
I don't making sense, bro.
I don't
it
think
ain't making sense.
We're not upset enough and we're not organizing enough.
I mean, look, and it shouldn't be. I want to post Mike's comment on this, please, Ariel. Mike says FEMA deals with terrorism fallout as well, Farajii. It's stated there on their site. So this situation, which is categorized as a hate crime, it falls under domestic terrorism. FEMA stands for Federal Emergency Management Agency. This is a federal emergency that needs to be managed. And East Buffalo still don't have the support. Okay. Karen Coffee Carlton. Karen, thank you so much for your Mike. Thank you for your comment. Karen, here's your comment. Why isn't the mayor's office coordinating assistance? I'm looking it up right now. I'm trying to see what the mayor, Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown, a Black man. Let me see what this brother has been. I mean, of course, he said enough is enough and all of those things, the prayers and thoughts. But I'm not sure, and I don't want to throw the mayor under the bus without getting the full investigation or, a thorough understanding of what he's planning to do. But I think he's showing to be a mayor, independent, like he's part of the independent party. But I'm going to double check on that.
Ask yourself, what possibly could a mayor do if he's running a town in a system that is not helping, in a system that is not working? What could he physically act? And I'm not taking the power away from him, but remember, the same people that give the power or give the finances and the whatever to the mayor are the same people that we ask him, where are you as well? What can that man now do?
Yeah.
We have to be careful to keep our blame very pointed towards the right areas and not sometimes these smaller fish that are just actors or players in a bigger stage and a bigger play. Right.
Let's go to Tiana's comments and Karen. We're going to take I'm really am now interested in see what the mayor has to say. But Tiana, let's show yours. Here's what you said. I hate to say this, but we going to have to step up and pass that collection plate around. I mean, we ain't got no choice.
No choice. Who's doing that in the first place?
We ain't got no choice. We're going to pass that collection plate and a food plate at this point. Damn. Let's go to Dirty Reds 76. Dirty Reds said, you got to understand that we are dependent on the various systems that are put in place to subjugate us. So what we have to do is create our own systems. Yeah. Yeah. I think out of every dark moment such as this tragedy, there is the opportunity for us to do it. We just got to take the opportunity and see the opportunity for what it is, right? And I'm not saying opportunity saying that I mean, there was loss of life. The opportunity comes in the fact that we need to stop relying so much on the system and start relying more on ourselves. That's all I'm saying. B Dizzle, let's share that your thoughts, B Dizzle. And it exposes the racial system that creates a situation like this when just one incident can cause a catastrophe. Mainstream thinks supermarkets are plentiful because of their own experience. Hey, B Dizzle, I am with you 100%, brother.
That's true.
Y'all saw what happened during the pandemic. When that supply started to run out at the very beginning, y'all remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, and the crazy part is there was no place for us to go.
Yep.
We were just kind of SOL, as they say.
Yeah, just there.
You know what I'm saying? If they ain't have it at the store, if they ain't got it at Walmart and Target, and they ain't, you know what I mean? These retail spaces. B. Dizzle brings up a great point. Thank you so much. And going back to Infamous Kiki, we're going to take this one last comment from Infamous Kiki. She said, you honestly asking a corporate-controlled Congress to give a damn about black people, especially Republicans who don't care or need the black vote? Are y'all serious? No. Well, let me just say this. We should demand it. We're not asking. We're demanding. A demand needs to be made. And the science behind this is that a demand still needs to be made, because once the demand is made, it will force the government to see the hypocrisy of saying that they really care. So you gotta you as a chorus, and Sinead, you understand this as an organizer. It doesn't mean that we don't continue to try to figure out a way to resolve this situation. But you do got to put a demand out there, because you got to let it be known to everybody that may not be impacted by this, and to the United States government. This is some BS. The demand has to be made. So do we really hopefully have this great hope that the government is going to, the Congress is going to swoop in and help? I mean, no. But you put the demand out there, because publicly, when it comes down to time for us to vote, when it comes down to other national conversations or national emergencies, we can always say, well, look, remember that moment in East Buffalo? Why don't y'all didn't help us? Now we got a national emergency, and we the first ones to be called upon. See, the demand gives you leverage. The demand is necessary. You got to put a demand. Sinead, you only got like 30 seconds left. What do you see as being the next step of this? And Kiki, thank you so much for your comments, sis. What do you think is the next step for this?
Don't codify this calamity in the heat of the moment. I see what everybody's doing, and we've seen this in many cities. And I think if enough is enough, and this is the last straw for you and your community, whatever now that we build in East Buffalo upon what has happened after this moment, keep it even after Congress comes. Keep it and don't stop it. The issue here is that these moments sometimes can become fleeting. And once that quote unquote sense of normalcy returns, we go back into the way that wasn't even working to begin with. I think we need to hold on to this momentum and keep it in perpetuity.
Amen. Brother Sinedu, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, brothers, checking you out on Fridays and other days that you're able to jump in on these conversations about diversity, equity, inclusion. Great discussion here today. Thank you so much, dear brother, and continue to do the great work you're being called to do. And as always, brother, thank you for being so good for the culture.
Appreciate you, brother. Peace.
All right, peace. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, we're going to talk about Dave Chappelle's attacker has appeared in court. We're going to be checking in with comedian Larry Lancaster to give us his insight about the latest development in this whole situation and how this thing went from bad to worse for the attacker and not for Dave Chappelle. But it does bring up the conversation about comedians and free speech, and we're going to have that discussion. So stay with us. That's coming up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second hour of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Today is Friday, May the 20th, and I thank you so much for tuning in or staying tuned in to the conversation. I wanted to talk about the latest development in the case of the attacker of Dave Chappelle. You know, we talked about how this young man by the name of Isaiah Lee. He's 23 years old, folks. 23 years old. Ran up on stage while Dave was performing in Hollywood a couple of weeks ago. Jumped on him and was really trying to physically harm the comedian. And as a result of that, he was taken off of Dave, pulled to the back, beaten up by security and others, and was taken to the hospital. Now he appeared in court, folks. And according to the Los Angeles County District Attorney, Mr. George Gasson, he said that the man charged in the attack now faces an attempted murder charge. Mr. Gascon said the publicity generated by the attack on Mr. Chappelle helped police solve this crime. The incident that occurred at the Hollywood Bowl was a misdemeanor conduct and rightfully referred to the city attorney's office. Based on the nature and severity of the December attack, Mr. Lee is now facing felony charges, which my office will prosecute. Apparently, folks, Isaiah Lee was been charged with attempted murder after allegedly stabbing his roommate in December while Lee was living in a transitional housing apartment. Lee pleaded not guilty to the charge yesterday and is scheduled to appear again before a judge June the 2nd in the Department 32 of the Fultz Criminal Justice Center. This is very disturbing to know that Isaiah Lee was able to even get up on stage. But then to also hear that he has a violent past that could have led to a violent present with Dave Chappelle, very, very scary. Here to talk to us a little bit about the conversation around attacking comedians, and if this is something that we should all be concerned about, is our comedian, Mr. Larry Lancaster. Larry, good to talk to you as always, brother. How are you this afternoon?
Hey, brother Farajii, y'all always call me that anytime a comedian get their ass whipped, y'all want to call me.
No, man, we not. See, only you would start off the conversation so serious.
I'm an expert on getting my ass whipped on stage. Well, that's like Carl Lie. You know what it feels like to get smacked up.
I was not expecting that, Larry. I was not expecting that, brother. Look, I wanted to get your take on this because we're finding out what the past of Isaiah Lee is. Bro, he really could have done some real harm to Dave Chappelle, knowing that he just stabbed somebody else in December. Allegedly.
Yeah, and actually, from the report, they said he actually had a knife on him when he attacked Dave.
Right. A knife and a gun, though, right? It was just a knife.
Said it was a gun. It looked like a gun, but it actually was a knife.
Gotcha. Right.
That was the first report that I had. Unless things changed, that's what I read. That he had something that looked like a gun, and it actually was a knife. But either way, that's very dangerous for someone to be able to get that close, especially to a star of Dave's magnitude. And so he easily could have stabbed him. There's nothing that could have stopped him, or he actually could have shot him, because if he had something that looked like a gun, he could have actually had a gun. And so that also brings to mention that, with the security aspects of going out in public. And so we just have to be very mindful of these type of things. And, there's so many people walking around with mental illness, man, that are criminally mentally ill. And we just have to be careful. You have to be, I don't want to say vigilant, but you just have to really be mindful.
So you've been doing, here's a picture of him.
You're going to put the ass whipping pick
performing.
Up.
Say it again.
You're going to put the ass whipping pick up. That's what
do you want to put the...
What happens to you when you...
Well, that's the most recent, though.
Yeah, put that when they tenderize his ass, put that one up. They river danced on that brother, man.
You said river dance?
Yeah.
That's not funny, brother. That's not funny.
I think the security probably felt bad because he really did get that close.
Yeah.
And so if he really wanted to do serious harm to Dave, it could have been done. So they probably wanted to just make up and make an example out of him, because their brother arm was twisted up. He was knotted up. And to me, that's what should happen anytime you attack a performer. To me, Will Smith should have left the Oscars looking like that.
Right. Anytime. So that is the picture you've been asking for, Larry. There's the picture. So anytime an attack is done. So here's my question. You've been performing since the Chris Rock slap, since this situation. What has been the feedback, or what type of energy you've been getting from your audience members?
Well, it's like anything else. People don't really think about these type of issues until it happens to someone famous. And so this is a reality for any comic that you're not at Chris Rock's level. And we can also see that if someone can get next to a Chris Rock, if you can get smacked, I bet you Chris Rock, when he was putting his tuxedo on and driving to the office in the limo, the last thing he thought was going to happen was that he would be slapped. So no one's immune. So if you can get slapped at the Oscars, if you can get jumped on stage and be Dave Chappelle, imagine what a guy like me has to worry about. And so this has always been a concern. And so I just want people to understand that the average comic don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars of security. They're not going to be hosting the Oscars where that's a secure building full of elite, Hollywood elite. I'm at Melba's. I'm at the 5 Mile House. You know what I mean? So these places, don't have the security. They are there to protect the patrons, but you seldom have security to protect the entertainers. And so this is something that promoters are going to have to take more responsibility for, making sure that the people on stage are safe and secure and protected. Now, I've had these type of things happen. Give you a perfect example. Last year, I was doing a comedy show, and the feature guy who was featuring for me, I just happened to be sitting in the audience and not the green room. And so I happened to be out there, and the guy ran up on stage and was about to attack him. No security came. So I had to run on stage and get between the audience member and the performer and tell the guy, hey, man, go sit down. You know, I used to be a corrections officer for 13 years. And so, you know, I still understand how to isolate and contain and, you know, physically take care of myself. So I had to be security before I went on stage. Now, that's a situation that I should not have to be in. And that's also a situation that the comedian shouldn't have been in. So where was the security? No one came. And so luckily I was there and I, you know, thwarted the incident. But these are the type of things that happen. I've had people grab me before. I've had to, you know, snap my glasses off and get in my fighting stance and let people know, like, yo, it's not just jokes. Like, I'm going to hurt you because I'm not going to let you me. And of course, you know, as a performer, you don't want to go there because your job is to entertain and, you know, keep the crowd, keep the mood light. But we're still human beings, and sometimes you got to let people know, like, yo, I laugh and joke, but I don't play.
Right, I laugh and joke, but I will kick your ass.
Right.
I will take the mic and whip your ass right here on stage.
Right.
But are there conversations now within the industry? Even I know you're saying that on their level, you know, you got all this high risk security, but are there, at least when you have your shows, when promoters are coming to you, are you bringing it up, or are the promoters possibly bringing it up and say, hey, look, Larry, you know what I mean, we got a little extras, we got some police officers. I mean, are there at least some conversations happening as a result of this?
Generally speaking, no. And for the most part, the promoters don't provide security until they're made to. So if they do a show and then the venue says, okay, you have to have security to do this show, then they'll provide it. They're not going to do it on their own. It's something that has to be either demanded by the comedians or demanded by the venue itself. And so, no, nothing has changed, only just more of an awareness. And of course, you know, when things happen to famous people, that kind of removes other people from it. It's like, oh, well, that happened to them, it won't happen to us. But this has been a reality my whole comedy career. This has been a concern.
Right. And from your vantage point, though, Larry, do you feel like, and we briefly talked about this when we heard about the Chris Rock situation when the last time you were on, but now I'm starting to think, like, do we need to figure out, or do the comedy industries need to say, okay, there is, of course, there's a right to say whatever you want to say,
right?
But you guys got to make sure that you understand that we're in a very highly polarized political space, polarized racial space in this country. I mean, I'm wondering if, and I know I've seen you do your shows. You perform, but you're performing with both eyes open. You know what I mean? You're not taking it for granted. You're not drunk on stage. You know, you might have a little sip here and a little sip there, but you are present in the moment. So if something were to happen, you can respond adequately. But I'm wondering, like, when it comes to speech, because now we're in a space where hateful speech, where any type of speech that can be deemed hurtful or offensive can set people off. And what's your take on that?
Well, again, that's always been a concern for Farajii. And the thing to that is, I don't know if you were asking, maybe the comedians should take more of a responsibility for the things that they say. And I think anytime you open your mouth, just as a human being, whether you're doing comedy or whatever, you always should understand that whatever you say can come with consequences. Now, should those consequences be someone jumping on stage and whipping your ass? No. But you have to be mindful. And when you get into it with someone in the audience, which has happened, you have to be mindful of that. You have to be mindful of that person's state of mind. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know if they just had a death in the family. You don't know if they may need that laugh to help them through their day. So I just think a comic should really not, and here's what I say, I don't go out of my way to offend people, but I also don't go out of my way not to offend people. So I have what I feel is my material, whatever I want to talk about, and that's the thing about stand-up comedy. It's to me, it's the purest form of art, because it's only what you think and your opinions and basically what you feel, and you're really getting a large part of that person. I just think more should be done to protect the performer, because even though this has happened with comedians, what if you go to a stage play and someone jumps on stage and attacks the performer, or so this can happen anywhere. So I think you shouldn't have to be Beyonce to have protection, or Taylor Swift. It should just anyone who's on stage and know that someone can jump on stage and hurt the entertainer. There should be a buffer to that, and I think that's something that the venues, the promoters have to really start considering and taking more seriously. Now, as a performer, that's an individual choice. And so for me, I just try to make the choice to not be mean-spirited, not to verbally engage people more than I have to, and also you're alienating the rest of the crowd. But we've just seen that it doesn't take a lot. Like, to me, the Chris Rock joke wasn't enough for Will Smith to smack him. I don't know why the guy felt the need to attack Dave.
Right.
Because Dave is one of the greatest comedians of our time. He has a great command of the English language, and he's not a mean-spirited comic. But no matter what you do, there's always going to be people who disagree with you. Now, how much they want to disagree or how far they want to take it, that's up to in the mind of that individual. But you can't account for that. But there should be some type of protection in place.
Folks, I want to bring you into the conversation. Post your thoughts, continue to post your comments as we are talking about Larry. We're talking about the latest development in the attacker of Dave Chappelle, how he's appeared in court, and apparently he is being charged for allegedly stabbing his roommate back in December, an attempted murder charge, a very serious charge that is added to the fact that he attacked Dave Chappelle. So
that actually just makes it even more scarier, the fact that this guy's proven he's not bluffing. I mean, he stabbed someone that he knows well. So it's almost amazing that, and thank God that more didn't happen with Dave, because it easily could have.
Yeah, and see, that's brother Larry. That's the thing about this whole situation, bro. That like, I just can only imagine. I mean, he went on. He got into the venue with a weapon, so there was already somebody should have gotten there. And his head should have started rolling from that point. Right. But then to get so close to tackle him, where he could have just been like inches away from being fatally stabbed or seriously injured. I mean, and the
fact that we're talking about those theater stages. This is not something that would be that easy to do.
Right. That's the Hollywood Bowl.
Right. He got up there with relative ease. And the way he did it, if you watch the film, it was almost like it was definitely not a spur of the moment thing, because the way he did it in such a way where it was like, by the time they realized what happened, I'm going to already be up there.
That's
Even
it.
at the point of where he jumped on stage. And that's the thing. You got to be vigilant, and you almost have to expect that in order to stop something like that. If you're not expecting that, there's no way you can stop it.
Exactly. Great point. Great point. Lorraine said, Lorraine Sweet checked in. Let's go to some of these comments, Ariel. Lorraine Sweet checked in and says, I do not like comedians to insult live audience. Comedians should be able to write awesome jokes without insulting their audience.
And I guess you're looking at me to respond to that.
I mean, it's you're hilarious, bro. I mean, I don't know. Like, you know, I remember you telling me, you told me one time, because I was like, Larry, I'm going to a comedy show. You were like, bro. And I said, yeah, me and the wife were going. He was like, don't sit in the front.
Right.
Now, and I was like, oh, okay.
Here's here's my take on that. I actually agree with Lorraine. I don't think it's a person's because first of all, people are paying their money. So you don't pay your money to be humiliated or offended. But here's the thing. Who knows what that's going to be? It's not like you have to be talking directly to an individual. They could just not like your opinion or your point of view. That's what it's coming to now. You know, they tried to cancel Dave because they didn't like his point of view, you know, about the LGBTQ situation. And so he came under fire for that. But I don't agree with someone just picking someone out the audience and belittling them and making fun of them now. I've done crowd work before when it was necessary. I never try to spend too much time on one person. I never try to make fun of a situation that someone can't help, like if someone's handicapped or someone's obese. To me, that's low-hanging fruit. Like, you just don't do stuff like that.
Right.
But you should have material. You should have something to talk about, and it should not be the audience. But there are instances where that's necessary. If someone's heckling and they won't shut up, you bringing attention to yourself. Now you're asking for it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, I remember watching Kings of Comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when D.L. Hughley was on stage.
Right.
And he went, no, it was D.L. and Steve Harvey. They both went in on this guy in the front row. Now, he was laughing and joking. You know what I mean? He was taking it all in. But I think he had like an orange uniform. He had like some loud color. And I was like, boy, he was like, you know, they just going in on him. But it was like, you gotta just kind of brush it off. Like you can't go to, and I think that's the other part of it is like there's a responsibility from the comedian from your vantage point, but as an audience member, we have a responsibility that if somebody says something about you, then you know just kind of take it as a joke. I mean, you can tell when somebody's is really trying to insult you versus they trying to make light of a situation.
Right.
And I think
at that point, if you go see a performer. A lot of times when you go see these comics, you know the comic, you know what you're getting. And
right.
So most people who participate in this or buy tickets, they're fans and supporters of these comics. So you're familiar with the material, you're familiar with their comedy style, so you kind of understand what you're getting. But yeah, I don't think it's professional for a comic to make fun and humiliate the audience, especially for a long period of time.
Right. Right. Let's go to Lorraine. Thank you so much for your comment. Taylor checked in and said, look, we are slow to make changes in light of the heightened volatility. It is smart for the venues to provide safety. It's a liability issue.
Mm-hmm. And even like Dave had security there and the guy still was able to get to him.
Right.
So simply just having security, that doesn't fix the problem. There has to be some type of plan in place where you're not only expecting someone to do this, but you have the expectation, therefore, you can be proactive instead of reactive, because that's important. Once someone makes it on stage and they come into physical contact with the performer, anything can happen. Yeah, you can pull the guy off of him and beat the brakes off of him as they did with Dave Chappelle, but the damage was already done.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Janine L checked in. Janine said, people are just too sensitive. If you don't like a comedian, don't go to their show. Ta-da! Problem solved.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very simple. It's just a very simple thing.
I tell people all the time, like, you really shouldn't take with someone you don't know and someone you probably never see again and what they say about you that seriously. Does somebody know you that well where something's going to touch you that deep? Most of the time, a comedian cracks on what he sees in front of him. So, you know, you decided to wear that outfit. You decided to do that deep. Don't be mad at me or the comic because they paid attention to it. You know, they observed it and they found some humor in whatever you chose, your choice.
Like you said, you decided to wear that.
You decided to wear it. Be mad with your friends who rode with you to the venue and didn't say, okay. You know, that was 2 decades ago. Like, don't start like you just got out of jail. You looking like Fly Guy with the aquarium, with the goldfish, and think no one's gonna say anything. Now, should the comic do that? That's a personal choice for his art. But you know, and that's why a lot of people don't like sitting up front. But I'm one of those comics that I just don't like to pick with the crowd. If I say something to you or make a joke, you can tell it's not a mean spirit, and it's only I hit you and now I'm on to something else. I've seen comics spend 15, 20 minutes on somebody, and as a comedian, I don't even like someone to do that to me.
Right.
So I can understand what the average person feels
just
like.
Roasting you.
You
just
can only laugh
right
at
there.
yourself, but for so long.
Man, please. They talk about, oh yeah, I take your girl.
Right.
Like, whoa, hold up, man,
Right.
hold up.
And it's funny you say that because I've seen comics do that. Like, you should not disrespect your crowd. Like, that's disrespectful to me.
Most definitely. Most definitely. We got a couple of moments left, Larry, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. But where do you see comedy going right now? Is because there are so many things happening right now, and I know you've talked about the importance and value of comedy, but comedy, and even outside of the attacks and all of those things. But where do you see comedy going right now? I know people have been talking about Cat Williams' new special, World War III, right? And I haven't watched it yet, but you know, he's saying something. One of the things I did see a little small clip, he said that the problem is in America, it's not economics, it's not race, it's the lie versus the truth. And it's like now you're starting to see a certain level of consciousness. You've always been in the conscious space with your comedy and just with your whole person. But do you see comedy going into that space where it's like, hey man, yeah, let's step it up a notch in terms of making sure that as much as we making people laugh, we making people think?
Well, there are comics who will always do that, and I think that's nothing new. Chris Rock was known for doing that at some earlier on. And man, it's not just Dave. Like, Dave is a great comic, and I think Dave is brilliant. And Dave is almost more of a philosopher now than a comedian.
Right. Great way. Yep.
But there are comics who said the same thing he said. They just didn't have as big a platform. I've said some of the same things. And so, you know, I think comics are very smart. Not all of them. There are very intelligent comics. There are comics who read. There are comics who stay up on current events and social issues, and they interject that in their art. And so that's always been something that has been done. I think comedy has been kind of dumbed down with the advent of social media, because you have so many social media comics, and you know the attention spans are so short that sometimes if you're very intelligent and you talk about other things other than just your mama this, your mama that, some people don't even want to hear it. Some people will say that comic is not funny. I think D.L. Hughley is a very smart, intelligent comic, but I hear a lot of people say they don't think he's funny because of that.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we don't. Go ahead, bro.
It's just very objective, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the big things that, and I'm glad you bring it up, but we don't have time to go into, is, you know, maybe we can have another conversation, Larry. But because you've been in the game for a minute, and now you got these social media comics, and they get all these extra followers, thousands of followers, and and I'll never forget when I talked to the indie mom of comedy, Michelle, one of your friends.
My comedy sister.
You're right, your comedy sister. And she was making a point years ago. She said, if you ain't putting 10,000 hours on stage in front of a live audience, don't talk to me about comedy.
Right. Well, that's true, but the way comedy is going now, you get paid more for being famous than you do for being funny. Woo. And so the people who do these shows and the promoters, they don't care how great you are. They don't care how much time you spent honing your craft. If I can put somebody on this flyer and people will pay top dollar to come see them and my spot is sold out, I don't care if Larry Lancaster's funny and socially adapt. I don't care if Michelle is highly intelligent and almost a PhD candidate and can come and talk about a multitude of issues. It's who's going to put money in my pockets, and that's kind of where comedy has gone. We've kind of bastardized the craft.
Wow. Homogenized and bastardized the craft.
Right. The same way we've done hip hop and everything else, man.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Larry Lancaster, comedian. Larry, how can people find out all of the places that you're going to be playing? Where can they go for more information about your work?
You can check me out every Saturday on WEA 88.9. I have a radio show, Throwback Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. You can catch me on any social media, comedian Larry Lancaster, and you can keep in touch with me there, and I'm very responsive. So.
There it is. There it is. My man, brother Larry Lancaster, always checking in with him. Larry, thank you so much, brother. And more importantly, thank you for being so good for the culture, brother.
Thank you, man. And I appreciate what you're doing, Farajii. Much respect and love, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let me talk to you about bird watching. I'm going to share with you a little poetic justice about bird watching. And then later we'll have our, last word for the week. I'd love to hear what you think of some of the big conversations that impacted you this week. So we'll have that as well. So stay with us. A lot coming at you for the final 30 of the culture here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches! Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am Roland with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Like, wow, Roland was amazing on that.
Stay black. I love y'all. I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. I wanted to talk about a story that many of you may not have known about, but this is the story of Christian Cooper, a bird watcher, a black bird watcher, who back in 2020, y'all remember Christian Cooper? You probably don't remember his name, but you probably heard of the incident that he was involved in, which was he was called on by he was the target of a false accusation during an encounter with a white woman in New York City Central Park lot in 2020, in which she thought that she was being threatened by this black man. Take a look at this, folks. Now it looks like Christian Cooper is going to be hosting a new show for National Geographic about bird watching called Extraordinary Birder. How about that? Interesting. This is going to be, as Crump said, this show will take viewers into a wild, wonderful, and unpredictable world of birds. And the statement from the network was that whether braving stormy seas in Alaska for puffins, or trekking into rainforest in Puerto Rico for Paris, or scaling a bridge in Manhattan for a peregrine falcon, Christian Cooper does whatever it takes to learn about these extraordinary feathered creatures and show us in the remarkable world in the sky above. National Geographic has yet to announce a premiere date for the show. And Christian Cooper said in an interview with the New York Times that he had a love for bird watching ever since he was the age of 10, and that he was all in when National Geographic approached him about the possibility of a TV show nearly a year and a half ago. Wow. This is something. He was 59 years old back in 2020 when he was thrust into the spotlight by Amy Cooper, the white woman with a dog, who called the police saying he threatened her and her dog. Ariel, pull up take a moment if you can to find a picture of Ariel. I think they have a video of Ariel. But in that video that was recorded by Christian, Ariel can be seen calling the police, telling 911 dispatchers that she's in the ramble and there is a man, African American. He has a bicycle helmet. He's recording me and threatening me and my dog. Just to go to show you, Amy was a Karen. Wow. She was charged with a third-degree misdemeanor over making the false claim, but the charge was later dropped and given her a lack of a criminal background. And the Manhattan District Attorney's Office said that it dropped the charge after she completed 5 restorative justice sessions. What's your take on that? I saw a couple of people make some comments about this. Let me go to my Culture Crew chat here. Let me go to Nisa 1971. Nisa said, "Good for Mr. Cooper. I heard the Karen that attacked him got another job and her crimes forgiven." Yeah, it was good. It was forgiven. B Dizzle said, "For me, I would be that guy because I'd be willing to send a message because I'm thinking how my actions will affect my people, not just me. If I don't stand up to it, then I'm passing the burden heavier." And he's talking about the fact that, that Christian Cooper was seen as a man. And then correct me if I'm wrong on this, Dizzle, but you said that dude, Chris Cooper, Mr. Turn the Other Cheek, man, whatever. People do what they do. But the reason the Karens do what they do is because they think they won't be held accountable. Yeah. But here's my thing, B. Here's my thing, bro. My thing is, you never thought that a situation like that would thrust you into the spotlight where you get a call from National Geographic to do something that you absolutely love and you get an opportunity to host a show. Like, only in America, folks. Only in America where a tragedy can turn into something like this. I'm blown away by this. When I first read the story, I could not stop thinking about the fact, like, man, if this only happens like this all the time, I wish it did. I wish that we can go through a situation and then, in light of what has happened, that there is some light at the end of the tunnel. I wish we could really do that. But we're still living in a place right now where, you go through a situation and that becomes a stain on your life. And, Amy Cooper, she gets to move on. Now, we remember her, but nobody's thinking about her. You got to say the whole incident. You got to remind people of who Amy Cooper is, because she's just been written off as a quote unquote as a Karen. Danita checked in. Danita, let's post Danita's comment on this. Talking about Christian Cooper and his now will be hosting a new National Geographic show. Ariel, let's post her comments for us, please. Danita said, "Nope. If that Karen was a Karima, she wouldn't have been forgiven." I like how y'all play, man. Y'all, wow. If that Karen wasn't a Karima. All right. I hear you. Let's go to Young 00 Seek. Young's 00 Seek, you said, out of all of the incidents that happened that year, this made me the maddest, made something out of nothing, choked the dog and everything. The Karen situation, I mean, y'all remember when there was just a rash of Karen situations? I think they mostly happened back in 2020. Correct me if I'm wrong here, folks. But y'all remember when there was just so many white women? And it's sad because it's like not all white women, we know not all white women are like that, right? But it's just the number, there's like so many white women. I mean, there was the whole thing like bird watching while black, sleeping while black, barbecuing while black, walking down the street while black. I mean, it was just crazy. And, you know, so many things have happened since those moments. But when you reflect and really think about it, you're like, man, this country really has a race problem. Like fundamentally, this country really, really has a race problem. All right, let's show Brother King Lee's comment. Brother King Lee said, well, Brother Kirsten is an Ivy League graduate, and maybe, just maybe, he has connections in the television entertainment industry. Best of luck for the brother. He might be. I didn't know his background, to be honest with you, King Lee. I didn't know his background, brother. So I didn't know he's an Ivy League graduate, but more importantly, I don't know what kind of connections. But it's just interesting. It's just interesting. Like out of all of those Karen situations, those black men who were called upon, who they call the police on, you know, I mean, we can't compare them to this situation, but it's just the fact that like really none of those women had to do any real jail time. They put black men in harm's way. And it's just like so sad. And y'all, of course, y'all remember the story of Emmett Till. You know what I mean? It's just, we're still dealing with this stuff. We're still dealing with this stuff. And I think that is the hardest thing, that when you realize that you can't even do the simplest thing, that's a problem. All right, Ariel, show us that tweet. Let's post that tweet from National Geographic's talking about this. I watch National Geographic shows too. I definitely watch shows from National Geographic. Ariel, you want to post that tweet? And there you go. There you go. There he is. Extraordinary birder, lifelong birder, Christian Cooper will take us into the wild. There we go. Yeah. So that is happening. Congratulations to Christian and for getting the opportunity. To all of the Karens out there, I hope we just never see that rash of harassment like we seen there. There were just so many incidents, and I hope we just don't see it anymore. I hope we don't. But I really wish that some of those women got jail time. I don't care how small the offense was. I wish they did. I wish they did. Forensic Accountant got something to say. Let's post Forensic Accountant's a comment on this. Forensic Accountant said, the broad with the porn on her iPhone was the last straw for me. Jumped a 14-year-old. Yeah, I do remember that one. That was weird, man. That was the hotel attack. Yeah. That was crazy. I do remember that. Forensics, thank you so much for posting that comment. Look, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, got some final thoughts about this week. Plus, I would love to hear what you have to say about some of the stories that resonated with you. What was your culture story of the week, and the story that really made an impact on you? So we'll hear that as well. So stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Farajii May, only on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back. We got a final few minutes of the show. And, I think that I wanted to just put it out there, and you can share your thoughts around this issue. Of course, the big issue this week has been the Buffalo mass shooting. And I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this, folks. I'm still in the space where, I feel like so much needs to be done for our people in East Buffalo. And it's absolutely absurd that we are in 2022 and we have yet to really see the type of care that's necessary. And so for me, for this week's last word, one of the big things I want us to do is to take care of each other, right? Because this shooting has made me think twice about the impact that trauma can have on people. And this shooting has also made me think twice about, really putting our hope and faith in government. Like, we have to be at a point in this country where we honestly care about people. I mean, it's just something very, very simple. That you think enough about the humanity of your neighbor, of your coworker, of your family member, that we want to take care of people. And my heart and prayers go out to East Buffalo. But it speaks volumes about the lack of care that we really have in this country, especially when it comes to Black people. And we don't have to take on that energy even as we're part of the community. We don't. We can choose to be different. We can choose to think differently about each other. We can choose to believe differently. We can choose to break the I would say the chains of trauma that have been inflicted on our lives, whether it was at an early age or whether it's, when we are further along in our years. But we can choose a different path. We don't have to be the way we are if we aren't the person that we want to be. I want to say that again. We don't have to be the way we are if we aren't the person that we want to be. But it comes from being in a place where you care about each other. Like, to get out of your own way, right? To get out of thinking that somebody is always trying to play a game. And it's hard. I know, folks, it's very, very hard for us to think about the welfare of another human being, considering we're dealing with so many other things in our personal lives and our home and family life and all of those things. It's hard. And I even have to check myself. I want to share something for full transparency for you, because I realize I can't be this way. So, you know, when people come up to me asking for money on the streets, or they might come up to my car and say, hey, you know, do you have something money? It's automatic, and I feel bad about it, folks. So I'm admitting to it. But sometimes it's automatic to just say no. No, I don't have anything. Even though I might have a couple of dollars in my wallet, just say no, because I'm so conditioned to just reject. Because, you know, I've had days, and folks, y'all can get mad at me, but I've had days where I literally have been asked for money by different people 3 times in a given day. You know, walking down the street, at your car, coming out of a business or an establishment. And it's like, I don't have it. And sometimes you can get upset with the person, right? Like they don't choose to be in that station in life, right? But sometimes you get upset because you're like, somebody's always asking me for something. Somebody's always putting some level of demand on me. So I've had to mentally and intentionally say yes. Or mentally and intentionally take the moment before I answer with a no to say, let me think about this person's station, like where they're coming from. I can't think about the person who might be scamming me. I can't think that way. Let me think about that this person is in such dire need that they feel that they have to ask a stranger for a few dollars. That really, in the big scheme of things, if they ask for $2 or $3, is not going to break my pockets, right? So it's like taking the moment to care about other people. It's hard, man, and that's the sad part about this, that we're living in a culture where it's hard to care about other people, and that might even be your own family. And I'm talking about, you know, the family outside of your immediate family. It might be your immediate family, but it's hard. And when we get to that place, I think that's when we need to say, take a moment to reflect and to think, what if I was in this situation? Right? Like, what would I do if I was homeless? What would I do if I lost my job and my children and my wife are naked and out of doors? I mean, God forbid that happens, but no one planned for that, right? What would I do if some white supremacist came into my neighborhood and started shooting up the place? Like, how would I handle that if I had that experience? And that's why I say that we just have to remind ourselves of our own humanity, so that way we can get to a better place. We just got to go back to the point of caring about other people. I know that, you know, we spent a whole week talking about Buffalo, a whole week. And some of you might have tuned out. Some of you might have said, well, why do we keep talking about this? It happened. It's unfortunate, but there are other things to talk about. But when you're talking about human suffering, there's no time, no timeline to have those conversations. When you're talking about great tragedy and loss, you can't put a time on that. When you're talking about grief at the expense of racism that we're all too familiar with, you can't say that's enough. So my last word this week is just about us making sure that we reconnect with ourselves. I'm always striving to be a better human being, reconnecting with the part of ourselves that allows us to have empathy, not pity, empathy, and allows us to care for one another as we would want someone to care for us if we were in a different circumstance. So I hope and pray that this weekend, and as you know, we go into our new week next week, that we think about other people, and most importantly, that we think that, you know what, there's more to this world than my needs, my interests, and there's certainly more people in this world besides me. And so I'm going to do my part to take care of someone else. All right, folks, that's all we got for this week. I hope you enjoyed every show that we've had, all of the many conversations that we discussed. And more importantly, I hope you enjoyed the fact that we are engaging you much more here on The Culture to make sure that you stay informed, to make sure that your voice is heard. I truly, truly appreciate all of you. I mean, some of you y'all just riding with us so hard right now, and I appreciate it every single day. So thank you for your support, telling people to tune in, to get those likes up, to make sure that people tell their family and friends to log in. Thank you. And that's why it's important for us to continue to show our support for Black Star Network. You can do so at blackstarnetwork.com. Show your support, financial support, or you can support us by sharing and letting people know. This is highly important. There's no better time for us to have Black-owned media other than right now. Very, very important. And the time that we're living in with the cultures that we are all a part of, this right here is a premium. This is a gift. So go to blackstarnetwork.com, download the app for free on all your devices, continue to post continue to provide financial support, and of course, let people know that Black-owned media here we're working to stay here for you. All right. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. Up next is Big Brother Roland Martin for Roland Martin Unfiltered. That's at the 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. God willing, we'll be talking again on Monday. And as always, remember this: never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk Monday for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Have a great weekend, and most importantly, take care of yourselves and other people around you. Peace.